All right, here we go. It is February 5th, and great to have you guys all back on here. Let's see here. I'm just adding more people in. All right. I think we got everybody for to get started, and our recording is going. And lots of stuff I've got to talk about today. Not even sure where to start. I know you guys saw the the promo that we did last week, or actually this week. Uh, I'm forgetting even the names of the products. The linker, the internal linker. So if you guys didn't see that, that was a really cool demonstration that Chris did. And this was not our normal Chris. This isn't Chris Ormiston who made the Optimancer and the Site Pop. This was Chris Cantel, and he goes way back when SEO. It's funny, all these SEO guys from my very beginning are like coming out of the woodwork now, and everybody seems to be working on AI. So he brought to light this new tool called Internal Linker, and what it does, it uses AI just like Optimancer does to scan your WordPress site. And again, this is another product that is basically built for WordPress. There's so much community in WordPress that a lot of people are, developing around it. They have been for a very long time. So WordPress is very, very popular. I would say of all the commercial platforms out there, it's got to be number one. I know there's a lot of funky platforms for free and you know beginning users to build their own website. Most of them are pretty cheesy. If you want a website, you probably should get somebody to build you a framework for WordPress. I know Tim does that. His team does that. If you want just quick and dirty, what do you call it, Tim? Simple, easy?
Simple and easy, my friend. Simple and easy.
Simple and easy. I know I've got a dev team that basically can build anything, but most of the stuff we build still is on WordPress. So a lot of these programs that are coming out, like Internal Linker and Optimancer, these are great programs if you're in that business and you're providing web development, or even if you have customers that have websites. These are great add-on programs that take little to no effort on your part really to implement, and you can get recurring revenue. So how many of you guys actually saw the internal linker from Chris? It was pretty cool. I got it. I actually bought the 50 license, and I'm going to wind up, selling that as an add-on service. And I've got several hundred hosting clients. And I think with one email out to 100 hosting clients, or several hundred hosting clients, I think with one email out to them, I could probably get 50 people that would say, yeah, I would pay $100 to have internal links built in my site for me. So that's a pretty good chunk of change for a program that cost me $400 to bring back 5 grand in a one shot deal. And I went ahead and I put it on my own site yesterday, and it was so simple and easy, just like Tim's stuff. So simple and easy to do. I literally loaded the WordPress plugin, activated it, and then you have to put the license key in, and then it's active. And within a couple of clicks, the thing has done all its work. It's awesome. So that's a pretty good one-off service. Richard, go ahead. Yeah.
Question about internal linking. a statement he made during that presentation was that when the SEO engines search your website, they may in fact not search your entire website without that internal linking. And with the internal linking, if you've got everything internally linked, then the SEO engines will actually see every page on your website because of the internal linking, that if it's not there, that won't happen. So I'm guessing that's an accurate statement. Do I have that much right?
Yes, that is like probably 75% accurate.
Okay, well, where that then takes me is then question when the AIs search your website for the AEO stuff, might they not actually see every page on your website? And might that internal linking help them to see more of those internal pages that they might not otherwise see?
Absolutely. So, in short, internal linking is really the way to go. Google, on the other hand, and I'll use Google specifically. This isn't across all search engines, but I'm going to use Google specifically because they play dirty. These guys can figure out what pages are on your site, whether you have a sitemap, whether you have internal links, anything. Because basically, when you build a site or when you build a page, let's say you forget to link it. You've probably visited it because you've constructed it. They see that because you did it through a browser. So they know about it. But now the AI, the LLMs do not. They don't have that same functionality. They're not privy to safe web browsing. So Google has an advantage. But back to the SEO portion of it, Google is ranking things based on hundreds of ranking factors. And if your site is easily, they call it spiderable. If you have links, you are spiderable. Some people will put like a sitemap on the site, which I'm here to tell you, Google does not need a sitemap. They need your site to be linked together like, for a normal human being. I personally think that if you have a sitemap that's linking to pages that are deep in your site that are not spiderable, I see that as a negative. And I think Google does too. So having that is just proper form. There's no sense in having pages on your website that are valuable to not be reachable by a human viewer. You should be able to get to just about anything in the site within 3 clicks. It's bigger sites still within 3 clicks because you got things categorized. You might have a category, a subcategory, and then the page you want. That's really as deep as it should go. So, and they call that, some of the SEO guys back in the day called that siloing, to take all the relevant pages and silo them into a folder. And what that does, that creates more relevance in your link structure because your URLs now have the name of the folder, which is the siloed name. That's another way to get a keyword into the mix. So, it's all about relevancy. Whenever you're talking about a search engine, I don't care if it's a traditional search engine or an AI search engine, the more relevant that the content on the page is to the way that you get to it, those are all factors that are going to make you seen as more relevant. So linking structure, URL structure, all of that stuff matters. And with this internal linking tool, it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect. I looked at all the links that it created. It created a shitload of links, for my site and improved my site dramatically as far as an internal linking structure. Because, as lazy as I am, I'll build posts and content and pages and I never think to go back into all my other content and in places in there where it's it would be a natural to link over there for more information. I just never do that. So technically, I'm not following good form from a content perspective. And that's what that tool does. It fixes that. It makes sure that, wherever you have content that is referencing other content in your site, it puts that internal link, which gives you more juice. It helps everywhere, including, I believe, in the AI, the LLMs. So that's a great thing. And when I say it's not perfect, what I meant by that is when I went and I viewed the links, some of the links, like the anchor text, some of the anchor text links, they were questionable, but they're also editable. So at least it gives you the base map of, okay, this page should be linked to that one. And then you can go in and you can change the anchor text. And for those of you that are not familiar with anchor text, what anchor text is, it's the clickable text. Like it usually has an underline and it's a different color and you can click it and that's a link. The text in that link is called anchor text. You're using that text to anchor to another page in the link. And from a search engine perspective, they look at that as you're sharing your viewer. You're actually sending your viewer somewhere else for more detailed information about a certain thing, and the certain thing is the anchor text. So, like if you've got a website that sells shoes and you're talking about blue suede shoes, or even you mention blue suede shoes, you might have another page that's specifically about blue suede shoes. You might have another page on your site talking about fashion. You might have one that talks about retro fashion, like Elvis with his blue suede shoes. So on the Elvis page where you're talking about retro fashion and you say Elvis, in whatever date came out on stage wearing these phenomenal blue suede shoes, blue suede shoes now can become the anchor text that you could click on to go to the blue suede shoes page. That is perfect form to do that. That's going to get you the maximum benefit. That's going to get you the maximum authority in the search engines when they go to spider your site. What you do not want to do, what will work against you, is if you're using anchor text that's not relevant to the destination. Like, don't link blue suede shoes to, some kind of Western cowboy boots, right? That doesn't make sense. That does not provide credibility. That makes you look like a scammer. They could, I know this is a stretch, but they could refer to that as a phishing link. You're trying to get somebody to click to go somewhere they didn't want to go. So that's frowned upon in the spiderability scheme of things. So you always want to make things natural, you want to make things useful, and you want to be helpful to your viewers. This is Google specifically moved to user experience a long, long time ago because they realize most SEO guys don't give a rat's ass about a user experience. All they're interested in is tricks and gimmicks to rank quickly, and they don't care about the user. Google doesn't like that. Google is based on ad platform revenues. And what happens is if a user comes to Google and Google refers them to a website and they don't have a good user experience, the odds are they're not going to use Google again. Google loses money when that happens. So it's in Google's best interest to make sure that they're ranking pages or ranking sites that give a good user experience. That is really important to them. I've told people this for over 20 years. If you want to be valuable to Google or any search engine, you have to provide value to them. If you look at their playbook and you just understand what they want and you get into alignment with it and with them and try and give it to them, they will reward you. It's that simple. So understanding what they're looking for, and I'll tell you right now, what they're looking for most is a good user experience because that puts revenue in their pocket and that's what they're built on. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing anything at all to your websites. If it's important to you to get search traffic, you need to provide value. You need to create a good user experience and you'll get rewarded for it. Kevin, go ahead. You just got to unmute.
It's as soon as I started speaking, I was like, get on mute. Hey, by the way, I saw that movie, The Rip. That was a great movie.
It
So thanks
was,
for the,
wasn't
and you're right that the ending was like, I didn't know what was going on, but
it?
it it was good. I like those. I mean, I'm originally from Boston, so I do like the two Bostonians that star in it. Those good. Yeah. Um, but yeah, the ending was like, wow, that was good.
Yeah, I
Um,
never saw that one coming.
yeah, no, neither did I. And you actually tipped me off, and I was like, but it was good. Well worth it. You and your wife are good at picking movies, so I'm gonna any other recommendations I'm gonna uh follow.
Well,
So
I got a
and but
trifecta. I got a trifecta for you. There's three of
yeah.
them,
Oh
and
yeah?
and they're called Now You See Me, and they're
All
it's
right.
about musician or not musicians, magicians,
All right.
and they're great. All three of them are great movies, and same thing. You'll never guess the ending.
All right. Now you see me. All right.
Yeah, the Now
I'll
You
check
See Me movie.
I'll check that out this weekend.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's a really good one too.
yeah. Um,
You
cool.
guys
Thank
didn't know
you.
you were going to get movie reviews too, right?
No, no, no. Oh, and by the way, I do have another email that I'm going to be sending you on Saturday. But I wanted to ask you, I've been using Otter to transcribe things, and um, I'm I'm looking to reduce the number of AI tools that I use, and I don't even transcribe as much as I used to. Is there a recommendation that you would give to that would do what Otter does?
I myself, I don't really use a lot of transcription tools.
Yeah.
Uh, I know usually when I need something transcribed, I send it over to Brady, and I'm not sure what he uses for
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll figure it out. And as far as images, I know that I've got a few websites to get like royalty free. But as far as like AI images, and I know within the
Yeah,
your portal,
I've used a
um,
ton of image software and I've used a ton of royalty-free stuff. And,
yeah,
and what I found, I used to love deposit photos. It was like
okay,
you could get 100 images for $100. The
all right,
problem with it was the amount of time that I would spend searching for the right image.
yeah,
It was a time suck. It was like, just go ahead and get on YouTube or Facebook and you're going to be there all day.
really,
So, what I've found the best, absolute best results, bar none, is using the Act Imager tool
all
inside the
right,
Quantum Suite. I've
okay,
tried I've tried a number of other tools, and that one really kicks out some phenomenal images. Now,
okay,
again,
per-
it's whenever you're using an AI tool, remember your output is going to be based upon your input. Your prompt
sure,
is very
oh
important.
yeah, yeah, okay,
So that's where I kind of suffer a little bit is sometimes, I'll need an image, but it'll be the end of the day and you just feeling a little brain dead.
yeah.
So I lean on AI too to create my prompts. Like I'll go over to a lot of times I'll go to Perplexity and if I may have created a tool for this actually in the Quantum Suite. I don't remember if I did or not. If I didn't, I should.
Yeah.
But it's an image prompting tool. And what I did for a long time was I just went over to Perplexity. I usually have Perplexity open on my desktop all the time. I'm always throwing questions at it for this, that, or the other. And
Okay.
what I'll do is I'll pop in a Perplexity window and I'll say, "Hey, I need an image for this," and I'll just describe what I need, and can you help me out with a prompt? And it'll kick me out a prompt. And usually it's very, very detailed. It's usually too detailed. So I'll take
Yeah.
what it gives me, I'll pop it into the Act Imager and see what comes up. Sometimes it's absolutely phenomenal right out of the gate. Sometimes I have to pare the prompts down a little bit. Sometimes I'll go in there and I'll
Okay.
take some of the stuff out that, doesn't really need to be in there. And then in that case, the images improve. So, but
Okay.
it gives me that baseline to start from. Because just like anything else, whenever you're in creation mode, there's nothing worse than a blank page, even if
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
prompt window. That that
Yeah.
that kills a lot of people. So getting to understand how to talk to AI is going to be one of the best skills that you hone.
Okay.
If nothing else, all of you guys should be learning to speak to AI. And AI is getting much better at understanding English. English is not its common language. It's definitely not its first language. if
Yeah.
if you want it to like really extrapolate deep meaningful stuff, like let's say you want it to analyze a website, or you want it to analyze a webinar script, or you want it to analyze a sales funnel, a sales process, what you should do is you should say, can you break this into JSON? And that's J-SON. That is its native language.
Oh, okay.
And when it breaks it down in using JSON, it understands it at a much deeper level.
All
And
right.
then once it has that understanding, then you can come back and you can say, okay, now based on the structure that you now understand for that sales template, or that email, or whatever it is that you had it get a deep meaning for, you can say, now I need your assistance to create a funnel for me using that framework.
All right.
And it's, oh my God, the results it's going to kick out based on that is
Yeah.
10 times head and shoulders above anything else you've ever seen.
Okay. That's a great tip. And I do remember you mentioning JSON in the past, so
Yeah,
that's good to know.
a lot of the tools that I built inside the Quantum Suite, I used that kind of language to generate
Really?
the tools. Yeah.
Okay.
So when you're
All right.
using the Quantum Suite, it's doing that behind the scenes for you,
I got you.
because of the way I prompted it to handle the processes.
Okay. Well, thanks, John. That's all I
Yeah.
had. I appreciate
Okay.
it. That's
Cool.
good stuff. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Richard, back to you.
While we're on the subject of images, in the white label pages that we have for the Optomancer,
Uh-huh.
I'm editing them for my source stuff. I noticed that in some of the text box, there are images that are not images, they're actually text. And I wanted to change, well, I need a couple of extra images like those that are in that same family, so I don't create something that's completely different that is, not in the same family. Can I get access to that library of those images that you have? Because I have no idea where you're getting this. I've not been able to find
So,
where you get those things.
so some of the images were generated by AI when I had the AI build that funnel. And I was like really shocked at the inefficiency at the way the AI built the images. And what I mean by that was it gave me the HTML pages. And when I went to edit one of the HTML pages, I needed to edit something simple in it. And I opened the code and I'm like, holy shit, this thing's like 40,000 lines of code for a basic landing page. I'm like, what in the hell is this? And one of the images, or actually all of the images, they weren't referenced as an image file. They were literally the XO code to create the image. And I had not seen that before. And like for one image, it was like 20,000 lines of code of just random garble. I'm like, holy shit. That's not very efficient for a web page. For one, load speed, it's going to kill you on load speed. And for two, a search engine's going to look at that and just want to throw up. It's going to go, what the hell is that? So, and that really occurred to me for the first time that an image is all of that. That's what makes up the image, in the computer language. But for websites, that's not efficient. So they package it into a file, put a .jpeg or a .gif or PNG or whatever, and then they reference that file. So in the code of the website, it's just image equals, and it points to that file where that referenced file is sitting on your server. You know, that is, if you want to optimize a web page code, you'll find that there's a lot of code in there for style for the website. And they hide that in what's called a CSS file, which again is just like an image. It's got all these lines of code that they wrap into one text file, and then they put .css on the end of it. CSS stands for cascading style sheets. And it's all the recipe for how your site is designed, all your colors, the way your links are, all of that stuff, and it's all referenced in that one file, and that cleans up the code of your website. So for load speed, that helps. For optimization for search engines, that helps because you're removing the gobbledygook out of the way of the search engine trying to figure out what the page is about. You want the search engine to quickly get to the content of your site and figure out, okay, here's what this site's about. Not making it read through 20,000 lines of gobbledygook before it finds your content. So that's an important factor to think about. But as far as the images, again, those images I thought were okay, but I really think if I were to spend some time and go in, I could use the Act Imager and create much better images.
I'm sure you can, John, but that's the question is not about images because those images that are on that page are not images, they're text. Because you
That's
can't insert an image file in that box, or I don't want to insert because Kartra is horrible at handling images. You have no way of controlling size or whatever. You have to figure out what size it is and then build that image and then bring it into Kartra the size that you want it. Those images that are in on that page are a text. You can select it as a text and delete it, and then you can, and then if you copy it and then open a text box and put the text cursor there, you put paste, you get the image. You don't get alphanumeric coding, you get that image. And I was wondering where I thought you had something at one point on your website where you said you could download images that you could put into emails. I think that those are that same type of thing where they're closer to a text, to a letter of text rather than an image, but they show up as an image. Am I making any sense here?
Yeah, I think so. But if you can right click on it, like if you see it on a web page, if you right click on it, you can tell if it is or it isn't an image. And the ones that I was talking about where it's all the gobbledygook and then it shows up as an image, when you right click on it, it understands it is an image and you can save it as a JPEG to your desktop. And now you've taken all that gobbledygook text and you've saved it in a format where you can then use it in Kartra. So that's one way. If it's not an image and it truly is just formatted text that looks like an image and you want to turn it into an image, there's a program that I use called Snagit. Snagit, Snagit. And you
I
can you
use
can
it every
do
week here to record these, John. Yes.
yeah, you can just do that and then turn that into an image. But
Okay, so I should probably then I'll go check and see if those things are actually little. They look just like a letter, like someone typed a letter or whatever. Are those images on your website? You say download the free images. I haven't gone back in a long, long time and looked at them. I think I saw them once and they are they still on your website and go back and look and see if maybe those would work. Otherwise, I'll go back to opt to the
are you
quantum and
are
create some
you
images.
are you talking about emojis?
They're
Because I
emojis slash but you can't put an emoji in an email. And the things that you put in there were email compatible emojis that looked like that they handle the emojis like text rather than whatever an emoji is, which is some other different kind of file style than a text style.
yeah, I'm not really exactly sure how an emoji works, but I know if you copy it and you paste it, it does work in email format. I'm not sure how. I don't know what the hell kind of voodoo it is, but and I know on my site, on the Internet Dominator site, I've got a freebie on there that's like 100 and 150 free emojis that you can download. And they literally, you can just copy and paste them into anything. You can even put them into a subject line of an email. And then it'll put that little emoji when you send the email. Sometimes it doesn't look the same when you're doing it in edit mode, but then when you send the email and the person gets it on the other side, it comes through the way it should.
Okay, well, I will continue to shuffle about and see if I can figure out how to do that because I need a little different graphic there, and I'm gonna go check those ones and see if they're those big monster files, or if they are, I'll replace them with a smaller, emoji type thing. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of the Kartra is good, except there's places like even on the page that you did it, down near the bottom of the sales page, there's there is a text box where all the text is shifted off by about 30 points. And so the text doesn't stay inside the box. It wraps outside the box. And there's no way I've been able to figure out how to get Kartra to actually center it. I tell it to center it and centers it, but it centers it at 30 off. And I haven't been able to find how to get it to put it in the middle of the box. You might want to go check on that and
Yeah,
tell us how to do
here's a
that.
here's a trick for anybody that's using Kartra. Whenever you're using a template of any kind, whether I built the template or one of the coders at Kartra built the template, sometimes when you import the templates, they don't react exactly the same as the way they were made. And I don't know why. I can't explain it. But I know, like, I've run into that many times when I'm using someone else's template, and it's not worth fighting it. All you have to do is just go over to the side, grab a new component, like if it's a text box and you can't figure out how to format it, grab a new text box, slide it over, and then paste the copy into it, and you'll probably eliminate that problem. And then just delete the other box. Because I think sometimes the components carry forth in template form. They convert into something that might not be editable. That's the only thing I've been able to piece together inside a Kartra, but I have found that and I spent so much time fighting those until I figured out let's just delete it and start over. It's, by the time I deleted it and started over, I was done before I knew what happened. So, That's it. Like, don't fight. The one thing I say is do not fight Kartra. It will win every time. Just just go the easy route. Just kill it and add a new component in, and it usually works like a dream.
Okay, John, thank you very much. One thing, last comment is when you're talking about talking to AI, a chat bot particularly or whatever, one of the things that was sort of suspected on my own, but then I actually saw somebody did a YouTube video on it, is it's really, really critical. Kind of like the AI wants to know what's the question and what's the answer. That's the same thing when you're talking to it. If you
Mhm.
say, if you give it some long introduction and some big setup, and then at the last line you say, and now please do this, it may not even know what the hell you're talking about because it might not look at it. So whatever you want it to do, put it in the first 500 words. Be right up front and give it the answer first. Say,
Yeah.
I'm trying to put together this. I'm going to need this sort of thing and that sort of thing here. And here's the details of it. And then you can go into your explanation. But
Yeah.
don't put the long explanation before you tell it what you want. You tell it what it want and then give it the explanation to work with. It works far, far, far better.
Yeah, I've also noticed if you've got a long string, like I'll have a very long string when I'm working in an AI chat, and it tends to lose the beginning of the text. So what I'll do is every once in a while I'll say something like, "Let's recap. Let's do a summary of everything that we've learned from the beginning." And what happens is it goes back and it refreshes itself so it doesn't lose all that beginning stuff, because sometimes you'll have an AI that seems like really, really smart, and then all of a sudden it starts getting dumber and dumber because it's forgetting the beginning stuff that you were working with. So if you compress it, you basically take that whole big bubble and you compress it and bring it forward, just like putting it all in your briefcase and taking it to work the next day. If you get to work the next day and you don't have your briefcase, you can't remember shit about what happened yesterday. So it's the same thing. You pack that all in and you move it forward. And it is really good at deciphering all of that if you do it that way.
John, one of the features they've added to Abacus, because I really like Abacus the more I use it, they have added a memory feature. So that what you can
Yeah.
do and what I've found to do is I'll work with an AI to get the AI to figure out exactly what I want it to do. And I say, okay, now commit this to memory. And you can go over and you can set up a memory file. And I was doing it for a while. I said, okay, now I'll put this in the memory. He says, I can't do that. I can only allow, so much memory room. I said, okay, go back in, condense the memory down to the key points and rearrange the memory because these are key points I want. And it went back in, rearranged its memory, and the damn thing is remembering everything, everything, everything. And so now what I do is I don't have it remember everything along the way. I wait until it's actually got a good output and I say, okay, this output is what I want. Condense this and add this to the memory, and it'll remember it through. I mean, I've been working with this thing for about 3 weeks now on one project, and it's remembering everything, and the output just getting better and better and better because it doesn't forget everything from the beginning. So
Yeah.
it's actually got a built-in memory feature, and most of the other bots, as soon as you turn them off, it forgets everything, unless when you open it back up, you say, okay, first step, go back, review everything. You got to go through that mechanical step of refreshing its memory. But Abacus doesn't require that. So just
Yeah. Yeah.
FYI.
Okay, cool. So we've got Shar and Aaron. Before we get to you two, I'll get to you right after this. I want to take a pause right now for anybody that wants to send Connie a message. She has a birthday coming up and she's suffering some health issues right now. That's why she hasn't been on the last couple of weeks. And it's not good. It's what she's going through is very bad. So I want to take a couple minutes if anybody wants to send her a birthday message, and then if we can all unmute, I know this sounds really cheesy. If we can all unmute and sing her happy birthday, I know she would absolutely love that. So
That'd be great. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
And
how
can
would
make
we
it
send her?
peppy?
How would we send her a message?
Well, we're gonna this is all being recorded. So
Oh, this is the message we're gonna
this
send.
is, yeah, this is the message. So if anybody has something, just hop out, say your deal, and then, when we run out, we'll sing her happy birthday. And I would really appreciate that.
Well, can I say something, John, please?
Sure, we're ready to get started.
Okay. Connie, it was wonderful meeting you in San Diego. I had a great time getting to know the person behind the answers. And every time that I've asked you for help, you were there for me. And I super appreciate it. And gratitude and big hug, big love. Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Best wishes.
Awesome. I'm sure that's going to put a smile on her face. Anybody else?
We love you, Connie. You're the best.
Yeah, Connie, get better. As someone who deals with a lot of health issues, I really feel your pain. So get better and keep working. Remember, you're just a few days away from getting on a better train. Just take care and get better because we all miss you over here.
Hi, Connie.
You are definitely missed, Connie. I was wondering where your smiling face was. Hope it'll be back. Hope you'll be back soon.
Hi, Connie. I don't know you that well, and I haven't interacted with you yet. However, I'm sending you a lot of healing energy and prayers and wishing you the best birthday possible. And keep in mind, the more your energy focuses on that, what you want, the more you get what you want. So if you focus on healing, then you'll get healing.
All right. Anybody else before we just bust out into song here and sing Connie a happy birthday?
Yeah, I'd like to, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Connie. Thank you so much for all the support that you give us. Happy birthday to you. I hope you will be feeling better soon and on the mend. Wishing you a wonderful day and a smooth, speedy recovery. Take care.
Connie, you have been missed. I know you answer a lot of my emails because I just send them out to John, and I can tell you're the one who answers. So, as someone else said, focus on getting well because we do miss you, and I know John misses you even more. So, happy birthday! And yeah, we're sending you really speedy recovery.
All right. You guys ready to sing for
her? Sure.
Yes.
She might not be ready.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she's not ready for me to sing, but all right, so let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Happy
birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
birthday, dear
Connie.
Happy birthday to you.
We should have figured out whose rhythm we were singing that to. Man, y'all was dragging it.
It sounded like a dirge, not a birthday song.
I know. Yeah, that's why
funny.
I was trying to do the tempo.
You'll get a kick out of it.
Look,
yeah,
Barbara, I was gonna do it's your birthday. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. It's your birthday.
They couldn't even get the happy birthday tempo up, let alone.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah, you can blame that on me. I was the leader of that one, so
I tried to pick it up. Yeah.
all
She'll
right.
laugh
Well,
at that.
thank you all for doing that. I know that's going to put a smile on her face. All right, back to business here. So, Shar, you had your hand up first. Let me hit you, and then back to Aaron.
Yeah, I shared my screen, and so
Okay.
Richard, you were talking, and John, you were talking about using a template and not being able to figure out how to change it. Well, what I typically do is I hit F12, I right click on it, and I say inspect, and then look down here. It tells me the actual div in the class. And so then you can go in, if you're using Elementor, you can go in there and put a CSS code, changing this class to whatever the heck you want it to be. one of the most important things that you have to do is when you change the class, you have to put exclamation point important after the change, so you override the template, the CSS.
Okay. And that's in WordPress, right?
Yes, so this is on any web browser here. I'm sorry, I got more than one window open, but what I did was I just hit F12 and it brought up the code.
Yep.
And then once it brings up the code, you right click on it and you say inspect. And see, it jumps right down to the element. And you can, sometimes you got to play around with it to figure out the class name. But then I wasn't prepared to show this part, but then you do WordPress and go into your CSS classes and fully control and override that class by putting an exclamation point important next to whatever you're trying to change, and that will force the change.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's for WordPress. What I was referring to more specifically was inside Kartra, where you don't really have access like that to the code.
Okay.
It's basically it's components you're moving around on a page. So when the component gets, I think it gets corrupted. And I've just found it easier just to throw it out the window and add a new component
Understood.
and that's
But in those cases where you can, override it with CSS inside of WordPress, then that is really a great way to do it.
okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Was that it, Shar?
Yeah, that was it for me. I was just responding to
Thank
what.
you so very much. I have no idea what in the world you were talking about. So I was like, John, would you fix that for me? Thank you very
That's
much.
John. He got it.
I got it. Yeah.
He figured. He followed me.
All right, Aaron, go ahead.
Hello. So I'm here on behalf of Woody Blagman.
Oh, okay.
I've been partnering and supporting him with his music licensing website.
Yes.
So he wasn't really feeling that well this morning, so I'm here in his stead. So he's really enamored with ACT and really wants to integrate the tools into his website. But first off, is it my understanding that the website has to be a WordPress site in order for the tools to
No,
work?
no, no.
Okay.
WordPress is just, that's just a simple platform. With ACT is more of a marketing protocol. So ACT has a lot of tools to help you create content pieces, like whether it be a headline, whether it be an image, whether it be, a lead magnet, and all that stuff that you create using the ACT tools, you can put that on any website. It definitely does not have to be a WordPress or Kartra or anything. It's like when you use marketing, you're creating materials, and then the website really is just the delivery mechanism of the tool. So it's kind of two separate things. When you're creating marketing and content and all that, you're not really worried about the website piece yet. What you're looking for is you're creating a process. You're saying, okay, what piece am I going to use to grab people's attention? And then how am I going to get them into my database so I can follow up and send them follow-up emails to take them through the sales process?
Mhm.
So the platform on the back end really doesn't matter what you use. You're creating all this stuff, and then once the stuff is created, then you go and you plug it into whatever system you want to use.
Okay, gotcha. So he has like an old school binder with the ACT material. I understand that
Uh,
you can access the stuff online now, the digital.
yes. Yeah, it's all available online. There's videos. And then what we have is we have a thing called the Quantum Suite. And the Quantum Suite is a bunch of AI tools that helps you develop all the pieces. Like before we had the quantum AI, uh, everybody was kind of on their own to build this stuff by hand.
Hmm.
And most people didn't do it just because it's such an ominous task. It's like, you see the stuff, and as simple as it sounds, actually doing it is a whole nother story. But then when I was able to develop the quantum suite and have the quantum suite actually do all the functionality for you. That was a game changer. Like Big Idea, I taught Big Idea to, hundreds, if not thousands of people. And out of 1,000 people, probably two were ever able to create actually a real good big idea. And now with the Quantum Suite, you can kick them out all day long.
And the Quantum Suite you can use with any website, or does that
Uh-huh.
have to be? Okay.
No, it's on its own. It's a standalone program. You log in online and you can go in there and, like, for instance, the first piece of the ACT program is market segmentation. So figuring out, what's the most profitable segment of a market. And that doesn't have anything to do with a website. That'll tell you for your business where the most profitable segment of the market is. And then the next tool is the build a buyer, and that's like for avatar creation. Before you start creating materials or writing sales copy and all that, you have to understand who you're talking to. Otherwise, it's not going to be effective. And that's where people have called it in the past creating your avatar. The avatar is just a representation of your ideal customer so you know how to talk to them. And our build a buyer tool creates the entire avatar profile in seconds, where that could take, a week before.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about because the user base, or basically the demographic, is a very specific, like, you know, uh, probably about 70 people right now, that music supervisors in the industry. Since we, or Woody doesn't have exclusive rights to the songs that he's marketing,
Uh-huh.
um, they would essentially contact us and we would have to refer them to, the publisher or the music label to kind of finalize the deal. And the way Woody gets paid is because his father wrote the music, so he would get royalties.
Okay.
So, I mean, which could potentially be a good amount of money if the song is featured in a TV show or a film and that becomes very popular. So, I'm just trying to like reconcile how these tools and ACT can benefit him right now. Eventually, he does want to expand so that there's original music, and then video editors, content creators can come and download the music that we have exclusive rights to.
Yeah.
But right now, from what I understand, a lot of music supervisors are using this site called Disco to upload their music and share, and it's a very kind of closed network.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I had talked to Woody about this in the past. I know he's got a lot of the music, that his dad wrote, and some of it specifically for Elvis and stuff like that. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think a good amount of that music never actually got produced.
There are a few songs that could be Elvis demos
Yeah.
that weren't released. So, I mean, that's definitely,
So he
potentially.
could, and I've talked to him about this before, especially with AI, he could actually create and produce his own music using
Uh-huh.
AI. I wouldn't necessarily create like an Elvis character because they're going to come after you for that. But
Yeah.
you could create, his own character, maybe based on his dad, and something that he owns the rights to, and then he could potentially start publishing that music himself.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like a iffy thing in the industry right now. Like there's a lot of people that are very anti-generative AI. Like the guy that we spoke with is like, yeah, if you want to make a demo or you're using it as a tool, that's cool. But if you're trying to create a finished product with AI, that you might be like blacklisted because there are so many people losing their jobs because
Yeah.
of the generative AI that you would kind of be a pariah for doing
Yeah.
that.
Well, the reality behind that is I get that the industry doesn't want that because they lose.
Yeah.
But for you as a producer, all you should care about is what the public wants.
Yeah.
If the public wants it and you can turn that into a viable business, then, who cares what the industry wants?
So are you saying like the music, like a good way to go about it is creating music instead of trying to get the publishing rights and the mastering rights and things like that, take the music that he has ownership of and recreate the songs, whether or not it's through AI or having musicians actually create the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. And again, I'm not an expert in that field by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just thinking from an entrepreneurial perspective and a business perspective. If you've got a market that wants something that you have, and you've got an industry that doesn't want you to produce it because of their interests, who cares? But the thing I
Yeah.
don't know is I don't know if he has a big enough market to really justify much of an effort to capture it. That part I don't know.
Right. Yeah. It's a very, very small number of people that we're kind of marketing to right now, according to this music supervisor that we spoke with. So I don't know if the tools are beneficial now or once
Yeah.
we
And
expand the site.
and I've always kind of tried to guide Woody along since the beginning,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like moving a mule. He's kind of on his own track, and it's hard to get him to deviate. But
Yeah.
the thing I've always told him, I've always given him sound advice of don't spend money creating something if there's nobody that wants it. And when I say nobody that wants it, there's always somebody that will want it, but you have to have a big enough market segment. Like
Mhm.
literally, that's the first piece of act is if you don't have a market segment that will justify your sales goals, you don't have a viable idea. You need to keep looking. So, that you have to really fall back on that first. Otherwise, you can just spend a lot of time creating stuff that doesn't go anywhere. And you really just kind of spin your wheels and all that. And I've made this mistake myself many times. I've done stuff that interested me, and I thought the whole world should want this, and they don't. It was only me that thought it was cool.
Yeah. Where
So
can where can Woody access the act uh, on online? Is there a link or does he have?
I've
I don't think he knows where.
I've sent him the login info several times.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. To his Yahoo, because he was locked out of a lot of his emails. So maybe
yeah,
his Scott Blagman at Yahoo is functioning now.
well, probably shoot me an email, and then I'll look up his account, and
Okay.
maybe we'll switch the email over to yours or whatever, so you can get access, and that way
Sounds good.
that way you can get in there. But yeah, he should have access to all of that.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, and two things. One, Diane was wondering if you could see her chat. She had some questions in the chat. John, will you be testing Optimancer WP plugin with the WP linker software that you just promoted to make sure they play nicely?
Yep, I already did that. They're playing well together. They don't even
All
know they're in
right,
the same sandbox.
sweet. Okay, thank you for that on
Yeah,
behalf of Diane.
yeah.
She's at work and can't
Oh,
speak.
cool. Thank you for reading that. I never look in the chat. I would get too
No, I was
distracted.
aware of that. And can you briefly repeat what you said about AI prompts and JSON?
Sure. So it's J-SON is the proper spelling of it. That's the actual language that AI uses for the most part to that's its language. So that's what it really understands. So when you want something analyzed like that's really complex, like a sales funnel or a marketing piece, or you want it to build an actual framework, you ask it to analyze this using JSON, break it into JSON format, and then give you a summary of it. And then it will know the framework of what it just analyzed. And then you could tell it based on the framework, based on the JSON framework that you just created, can you build me something similar for my product? And you give it the details so it'll plug it in. But that I've gotten phenomenal results out of that, specifically for like webinar scripts. Like I took a webinar script from somebody from a really hot shot marketer, and I loved his webinar. His webinar was really powerful. And I took the text of it, I uploaded it, and I said, "Could you analyze and break this into JSON for me and explain it to me?" So it did. And then once it did that, I said, "Okay, using that as a framework, I would like you to build me a webinar, and here's my product, here's my offer, here's my price, I gave it all the details about my product. And boy, it smacked out a webinar script that just knocked my socks off. It was really, really cool. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
yeah, and you can do that with anything. You could do that with a lead magnet. You could do that with an entire marketing funnel. You could do it with a song. If you wanted to recreate songs that were, like some other artist, but it may be in a different voice or something that didn't have copyright issues, you could totally do that. Like there's a lot of country songs. You'll notice they follow the same exact framework. It's almost like a hero's journey story. So as long as you get it to break that into JSON so it understands the framework, then it can do that for you, which is really cool because that's really what we want out of AI. We want it to do the heavy lifting for us, but we don't want it just to, puke up a bunch of crap, which is typically what it does when you don't ask it properly. You say, write me a song, or, make me a lead magnet, or, do a webinar. It doesn't have context for what kind of webinar you want or what the framework was. So in that case, in the absence of clarity, it will hallucinate. And that's what a lot of people get. They get in a lot of cases, the hallucinations are better than what they would have done themselves, so they like it. But it's nowhere close to as good as it could be. So that's basically a kind of a hack. That's a hack to the AI prompting. All right, anything else? And I want to really thank you guys for doing that for Connie. She's going to like that. I'm going to clip that little piece out and I'll send it to her today. For those of you that don't know, she got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and it's not curable. So she's probably not coming back. I, and I wanted to do this for her birthday because her birthday is not till the 14th, and we're not sure she's going to make that. So anyway, it's kind of ugly. Jerry, go ahead.
So this is really off topic, but since we're near the end of the webinar, what's your take on the falling prices in the crypto market space and XRP?
Oh, okay. I actually, if you noticed, I sent out a thing. I'm going to do it in a crypto call at 2 o'clock today.
It's a week early.
It is, but
Sorry, I didn't see that. Thank you.
it's
Well, we can wait until then.
it's
I'll
kind
get
of
on it.
it's a week early, but it's kind of justified for what's happening right now. But in short, I've always said it's going to be a rocky ride. It's going to be very bumpy. Well, here come the bumps. So hang on tight. Don't let them scare you out of it. Like right now, there's a ton of people in the market that are selling off all their stuff. And it's not just crypto, it's stocks and, all of their investments. They're scared.
You predicted that.
Yeah, yeah, I've said this for a long time that they're gonna start shaking the rope and they're gonna shake it hard. So I wanted to push the call up a week and just make sure that, you know, you guys are gonna hold strong.
John, there's even people doing it in real estate too. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. This is across all markets. They
yeah.
they have to crush everything so they can reset. And for those of you that don't know or maybe haven't been following this, and this isn't something you're going to learn at the 5 o'clock news. There's a global financial reset happening, and they're going to everything's about to change. Now, whether it happens this week, next year, the next 2 years, um, I can't really tell you when it's all going to flip, but it's coming and it's coming.
When it comes, you don't want your money in cash. That's all I'm going to say. That's the last place you want your money is in cash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's looking and it's going to look very, very ugly. It's going to be, doomsday kind of stuff. But if you're in the right assets coming out the other side, then you could be positioned like what happened in the late 20s when they had the Great Depression. There was literally people jumping out of windows because they thought they lost everything. Well, they didn't realize how the market was going to turn back around. All they saw was the chaos and this, oh my God, this is the end, and they're jumping out windows and stuff. That same time frame, there was people that partook in a transfer of wealth and became very wealthy, that weren't wealthy before necessarily. So, and that's where we are. So this is an opportunity to take advantage of that because that's what this is. This is going to be a transfer of wealth. And again, just like I'm not a professional in the music industry, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not here to give you financial advice in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm really good at is identifying cycles and trends and algorithms. And this is not new. This has happened many, many times throughout history. Currencies have changed, global reserves have changed, all this stuff. And this is going to be the next one. So anyway, yes, that call, if for Diane, anybody that's not in the crypto club and you want to sit in on that, it's at 2 p.m. Pacific today, and it's the same link. So you're welcome to come on and participate if you like. All right, Roger, go ahead.
Uh, I've got let's see. Craig is doing a thing next week, and I was going to be coming back on Thursday morning. Would I be able to come in with a phone, or could I just send an email with the phone number and so you'd know who it was?
Yeah, yeah, that's not a problem.
So I can just come in with it, or do I need to send you an email with 626 da da da?
And you want to come in on the Thursday call, is that it?
Yes, on this call.
Okay, so let me tell you, I forgot to mention this. Next Thursday, I'm not going to have a call. I'm moving the call next Thursday to Friday. So this call next week will be on Friday the 13th, and it's because on Wednesday or on Thursday, I'm actually speaking at the Western Pool Conference. So I'll be there at the convention center speaking. So I had to move the call to Friday. So I
Ooh.
forgot to tell you,
Same
I will
time,
send
11.
everybody an email on that.
Same time, 11.
Yes, 11 o'clock on Friday. So adjust your calendars and I will send an email, to that effect as well.
I'll be somewhere that Friday, but for future events, maybe you should keep this question up. Would I send an email ahead or just show up on the phone?
Well, all you have to do to show up on this call on the phone is if you get your email on the phone, or even if you don't, forward the email to your phone. Like go in and copy the email and and just send it to yourself where it gets to your phone. You can send it through Facebook Messenger or you could text it to yourself or whatever. But once it's on your phone, you just click the join link and then from your phone it will open Zoom up and put you right into the call.
Oh, okay.
So that's how you would access this call from the phone. And I know
Mm-hmm.
there's several people on here that are on phones right now doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to do that. Like there's been several things I wanted to listen in on other people's webinars, and it's a time when I'm driving, and so I'll just do it on the phone and then just listen in. So piece of cake.
Mm-hmm.
All
Thank
right.
you, John. Good info.
All right. Anything else? Anybody got anything else for us before we wrap up? All right. Well, hey, thank you guys all for being on here, and we will be back next Friday. So I'll shoot you an email. And again, anybody that wants to listen in on the crypto call, 2 o'clock today, Pacific time, so almost a little less than 2 hours from now. Same bat channel. All right, guys, have a great week, and we will talk to
Mm-hmm.
you soon.
Okay, so long.